Hey, everybody. It's Robbie Rozelle from Broadway Records. I'm the A&R director, and beloved cabaret sensation is what the press release says. And that's just hype, and who am I to lie? Uh, we're excited that you're here for our very first listening party. And it's spectacular because this album's spectacular. And I'm not even going to leave you hanging. I'm just going to bring them right in. We have with us today the fantastic singer, actor who's currently in Company on Broadway on pause, but it's coming back. And the Bobby Conte Thornton, it's his album. And we also have with us the music director and arranger of the album, the brilliant James Sampliner. So let's bring him in. Hi, guys.
What's up?
Welcome, welcome. How are you?
Good.
Bobby, where are you right now?
Oh, Bobby can't hear. Or
Bobby can't hear?
Up your mute button, brother.
He's not muted.
No, on his end.
Oh, hello. Your mic isn't connected, it says, Bobby. We just did a test of this, guys, and it worked beautifully. But
oh well,
like everything in 2020.
You want me to speak for you, Bob?
James, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm in the borough of Manhattan in glorious New York City, locked away in my tower, like Rapunzel, and I'm doing great. I was in Pittsburgh when the whole thing began. So I actually got like a late start on coming into the New York madness. But now that I'm here, I'm used to it and everything's cool. And, you know, just like everybody else, just day by day, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think we're having... Oh, I see a microphone. Bobby, can you hear me?
No, now he's muted. I can see he's muted.
It says unmute mic. They chose to mute themselves. Unmute yourself, Bobby.
On the bottom of the screen. On the bottom of the screen. Look, brother.
Bottom of the screen, friend.
It says mute down there on the bottom somewhere. Good, anyway.
So, listen. We're going to let you figure the stuff out, and we'll talk to the people. And then, it's so weird. I'm going to play the first track, which is...
There he is.
Boy. Bobby! Oh,
thank God.
What a life. That was a journey.
Bobby, a moment.
Bobby, where are you right now?
I am in Big Sky, Montana, in the middle of nowhere. Perhaps that's why technology isn't working. But yes, secluded, very far away from New York City and many people.
Remember how we did a full dry tech of this 5 minutes ago, and everything was smooth? Why not? So we're here to celebrate your brilliant album along the way.
Our brilliant album, James Sampliner, baby.
Yeah, you guys made a thing together.
You helped out into the world, Robbie.
Yeah,
I did some stuff. But let's talk a little bit about this first track, which is Nature Boy, Blame It On My Youth, and how the album sort of came to be.
Well, this is based off a cabaret solo show that I did the first iteration of almost 5 years ago now in San Francisco, where I'm from, at the Fairmont, San Francisco, in this place called the Venetian Room, which is where, of many things, Tony Bennett debuted I Left My Heart in San Francisco. It was this very iconic room. And I was trying to acknowledge how a then 22-year-old was going to stand on a stage and try to impart any semblance of what my own personal thoughts were to an audience mostly comprised of people as senior, having something unique to say. So Blame It On My Youth seemed like a wonderful way to preface everything by saying that if anything comes off as naive or ignorant or childish, please don't blame it on my heart, blame it on my youth. So it seems to be like the thesis statement before we actually start the narrative journey of the album, which begins with Along the Way.
I love it. Why don't we play the first song? Give it a listen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far, very far over land and sea. a little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one magic day, he passed my way. And while we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me. If I expected love when first we kissed, blame it on my youth. If only just for you I'd exist, blame it on my youth. I believed in everything like a child of 3. Meant more than anything, all the world to me. If you were on my mind all night and day, blame it on my youth. If I forgot to eat and sleep and pray, blame it on my youth. And if I cried a little bit when first I learned the truth, don't blame it on my heart, blame it on my blame it on my blame it on my youth. I believe in everything like a child of 3. Oh, you meant more than anything, all the world to me. Blame it on my youth. I forgot to eat and sleep and pray. Blame it on my youth. I cried a little bit when first I learned the truth. Oh, blame it on my heart. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love. It's just to love. It's just to love and be loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On my youth. James is down.
Yeah.
Jamie on that high trumpet.
Yes, Jamie Dauber.
We stand. We're getting some questions already. First of all, the Bobby Bunch loves you and your album, and they want you to know. So I think that's the most important thing. We have a question on YouTube that's asking, how did you guys know what songs you wanted on the album?
It was a mix, again, if this show's been sort of 5 years in the making. It's gone through a bit of gestation over the 5 years, and we felt right when we knew Company was going to start up in January and we had the time to record it, James and I, we had a pretty good idea of the set list. But James came in, especially sort of in the last hour, questioning some song choices. And do you want to talk about Vienna, James?
Yeah, I think one of the things that as I was looking at what the show had been and where Bobby is in his life now, I realized that the way that we had the end of the album sequenced, I wasn't really overly happy ending the show or ending the album with That's Life, because I felt like he's young and there's more to go in his life. And Bobby came to me with the idea of Vienna, and I thought the lyric was just so absolutely appropriate, and I had no inkling that we were going to be in this world where the lyric to that song is so important right now, and what a way to end the thing. So there was a lot of discussion back and forth in terms of the material, what was and what could be, and what we thought could make it kind of sequenced well for his voice today.
And Vienna too, Billy Joel wrote that when he was 28, and I turned 28 in August, so it seemed very serendipitous for many reasons.
Wow. The next track on the album is now the title song of the album. So the cabaret show had been called Blame It On My Youth, but you changed the name to Along the Way.
Again, to James's credit and to some other wonderful people in my life giving me advice that you don't want to pin yourself down by an age. I'm turning 28 in this August, and sure, that's very young still. And maybe there's even power in when you're 40 years old or something like that, singing Blame It On My Youth. But along the way, I think was more of the story James and I wanted to tell. It wasn't rooted in naive youthfulness. It was about, if that's the thesis statement, let me preface everything by this. Now let's get down to it.
Well, let's give a listen to this Pasek and Paul song.
Should we do this and Into Time Heals Everything?
Yeah, 100%. Let's do it. Hey, we're going to take that again because apparently something happened. So let's see. Great.
Third grade in Miss Adams' class. An emotionally scarring time that I'm still trying to forget. It's not like I was a loser. It's not like I didn't pass. See, it has to do with what happened to Jorge, our class pet. We had this tradition on every Friday. One of us was picked to take him home. Exciting, right? So I finally asked Miss Adams, could this be my day? I thought maybe if I'm verbal, I could go home with this journal tonight. But my dad was allergic and my mom was agoraphobic. It's a real thing. I knew exactly what the situation would require. Mom showed up at carpool. I stuffed Jorge in my pocket, but forgot about him until our nanny found him in the dryer. Whoops. I baked sick the whole next week, too afraid to tell all my friends that poor Jorge was dead. Katie Thompson told me the killer's burning hell, but Miss Adams took my hand and she said, oh, life goes on, things will be okay. Oh, Jorge's gone, tomorrow is a brand new day. Everyone makes a couple mistakes somewhere along the way. College graduation, that momentous life shift. Watching the guys in my frat ask my grandma out on dates. My dad hands me this paper, his graduation gift. The only documentation of his parents' immigration to the States. He looked at me with pride and said, I'd like for you to have it, because your heritage can teach you more than what you learned in class. Well, I misplaced the paper, but that night at Beta's party, my friend was drunk and found it just in time to wipe it. We packed the car and headed home, and things were fine till I told my family their gift had been stained. Grandma said a prayer for me, Mom began to cry, but my father stopped the car and explained, oh, life goes on, things will be okay. Though our family history is crapped upon, tomorrow is a brand new day. Everyone makes a couple mistakes somewhere along the way. Looking back, I can't pretend that I don't see the trend. I'm not dependable. I'm aware I can't take care of things. Well aware what being careless brings. See, Jorge and the paper are just samples, small examples of mistakes I've made and stupid things I did. That's why I'm so afraid to raise a kid. So, why would you choose me to raise a kid? What if I drop him? What if things don't turn out okay? What if I forget to feed him? What if I start to need him and he goes away? What if I make just one mistake somewhere along the way? Time heals everything. Tuesday, Thursday. Time heals everything. April, August. If I'm patient, the break will mend. And one fine morning, the hurt will end. So make the moments fly. Autumn, winter, I'll forget you by next year, some year. Though it's hell that I'm going through, some Tuesday, Thursday, April, August, autumn, winter, next year, some year. Time heals everything. Time heals everything but loving you. So make the moments fly. Autumn, winter, I'll forget you by next year, some year. Oh, it's hell that I'm going through. Some Tuesday, Thursday, April, August, autumn, winter, next year, some year. Time heals everything. Time heals everything. My
Well, it is a pity that you can't hold a note.
Just trying to be Anthony Warlow every moment I can. Just have breath of push days.
Yes, I'm into that. I have every single one of his albums. I'm a little weird collector, which is why.
Right.
Talk to me about Time Heals Everything.
James, you want to talk about pairing those two songs together?
Yeah, it's kind of the lyrical quality of what Time Heals Everything is talking about kind of sums up the journey of Along the Way really nicely. In that, with the passage of time, these decisions can be a little bit clearer with a little bit more experience, with a little bit more life. Time is the kind of thing that can help somebody come out of that funk that we find at the end of the journey of the young man in Along the Way. And I just felt that it was important from a musical standpoint to end the Along the Way chart with a string quartet and start Time Heals Everything with that same quartet, so that we have a real bridge musically from one thing to the next, and it feels like one piece of music and one thought.
And what felt nice with Along the Way, especially near the end, that violin that Monica's playing almost acts as my scene partner, the woman I'm saying this to. And then the Time Heals Everything can be processing that experience and saying, yes, I'll forget you by next year, some year. And that really it's never going to happen. That especially when it's a first real love, they're never going to leave you. You can sort of process it and try to be able to function in conventional modern society in some way, but instinctually and animalistically, they're always going to be a part of it.
I love that. We got a question that I really enjoy. Did you have your own Along the Way moment growing up?
Yes, all these songs are placed here because these are all very specific experiences I've had in my life. And yes, the notion of being asked to be a father at a very young age where I'm in no way prepared for it is a very real thought. Even though I could imagine if there was going to be a woman I would want it to be with, it would be this specific woman. So yes, it was a very specific idea.
We also have a question, James. What song took the most time to rearrange?
It's coming. The one that took the most time was How Deep is the Ocean? And it took a long time because everybody that I've ever heard do it has done it so beautifully, but I wanted something really unique and special for Bobby. And because Bobby sings the verse of the song, which is the opening part, for those that aren't familiar with the old school way of writing a song, the old way we used to talk about a verse was verse and then refrain. So in the Tin Pan Alley days, meaning from the early part of the 20th century till the 1940s, you had a verse, which was something that set up the refrain, which is what we call the chorus.
And an ad-lib verse, too.
Yeah. And so it was very loose. It had very little time to it. So I didn't really have a way in for a long time. And once we both talked about it, and I was really frustrated with finding a way in, we talked about the idea of using Brahms and his incredible use of strings in his writing to set up the form for what would become How Deep is the Ocean. And so I decided very, late in the game that I just wanted the string quartet. And Bobby was like really excited by that. And I sent him a sketch of it, and then he became more excited. And that was the hardest thing we had to do.
I love it. I love it. We're actually going to move to a song that has a fantastic new arrangement, and it's the first song that we released on the album a couple weeks before it came out, and it's a Sondheim song, Everybody Says Don't.
Boom.
Everybody says don't, everybody says don't, everybody says don't. It isn't right, don't. It is it nice? Everybody says don't, everybody says don't, everybody says don't walk on the grass, don't disturb the peace, don't skate off the ice. Well, I say do. I say, walk on the grass, it was meant to feel. I say, sail, tilt to the windmill, and if you fail, you fail. Everybody says don't, everybody says don't, everybody says don't, get out of line. When you say that thing, honey, that's a sign. 9 times out of 10, what are you doing, just fine? Make just a ripple. Come on, be brave. This time a ripple, next time a wave. Sometimes you have to start small, climbing the tiniest wall. Maybe you're going to fall, but it's better than not starting at all. Everybody says go, everybody says stop, everybody says rock the boat, mustn't touch a thing. Everybody says don't, everybody says wait, everybody says can't fight City Hall, can't upset the court, can't laugh at the king. Well, I say try, I say after the kings will make you cry. Use your voice, fall if you have to, but buddy, make a noise. Everybody says don't, everybody says can't, everybody says wait around for miracles. That's the way the world was made. I insist on miracles. If you do that, miracles, nothing to them. I say don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
Yes. Yes.
That anyone can whistle motif at the end gets me every time, James.
Thanks, man.
I go, don't be afraid. And the orchestra goes, anyone can whistle.
I'm fully in. Here's what you're not seeing, viewers. Bobby is doing a full dance party while songs are playing, and I am here for all of it. Michael Mott says, you better sing, Bobby. Yeah.
Sweet.
You better sing. Let's talk about, you have some amazing musical guests on this album, like the next track that's coming. So let's talk about those people.
Well, you know, when James Sampliner sends out an email to the best musicians on Broadway, they all say yes. So I felt very lucky that we had the cream of the crop to work on this album, and we got this incredible saxophonist named Andrew Gould to just come in and kill it for me and Mrs. Jones, amongst many, many others. But I think that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah. Let's give a little bit of Me and Mrs. Jones to the people.
Yes.
I can't wait to watch you dance through it.
I don't know if I can do this one.
Me and Mrs. Jones, we got a thing going on. We both know that it's wrong, but it's much too strong to let it go now. We meet every day at the same cafe, 6:30, and no one knows she'll be there, holding hands, making all kinds of plans, while the jukebox plays our favorite song. Me and Mrs. Jones. We got a thing going on. We both know that it's wrong, but it's much too strong just to let it go now. We gotta be extra careful that we don't build our hopes up too high. 'Cause she's got her own obligations, and so do I. And this is it's time for us to believe in. And it hurts so much, it hurts so much inside. And now she'll go her way, now go mine. But tomorrow we'll meet at the same place, the same time. Mrs. No. We both know that it's wrong, but it's much too strong. Me and Mrs.
Unreal.
Come on.
James did not know a saxophone could play that low at the very end. We couldn't.
And
believe it.
also, we're told that the keyboard player is incredible and perfectly complements your vocals. And that,
James, what are all the keyboards that you play on this album?
What's that?
What are all the keyboards that you play on this album? You play piano?
I play acoustic piano, Rhodes electric piano, Wurlitzer electric piano, Hammond B3 organ, and synthesizers. Do I play anything else? Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you play.
Yeah.
What was nice about the song is so the way we recorded this is we went to the Bridge Studio in Brooklyn, which is this incredible space, and we did 5 days of all the instrumentals. We slowly started with the jazz quartet, and then added on strings, and then added on horns, and then we did vocals at Second Story Sound, which is a great studio in Manhattan. But Andrew came in and recorded the saxophone with me in terms of my vocals, because so much of that song seems like a back and forth conversation between us. Mm-hmm. And that, hopefully what comes across in that song is really that we're in the midst of talking as two scene partners.
Unreal. Your whole band is unreal.
It's a good band. It's a good band. We had Jamie Eblin on drums, Dylan Condor on guitar, and Mike Blanco was a bass player.
Who's also playing in company, Mike Blanco.
Yeah. And so that rhythm section, the four of us have played a lot of stuff together, and so it really makes for a tight unit. And we also had a rehearsal before we went in, because time is money in the studio. So we had a little rehearsal to kind of like just iron out some of the kinks. But there's stuff that we discovered along the way, no pun intended, that we kept. It was really beautiful in the studio, and it's because of everybody's input. I'm definitely the person that's like, I'll give you the ideas, but then if you have the better idea is going to win. And there were a lot of better ideas as we went.
Well, because we have incredible musicians, but we have incredible minds. We have incredible music minds.
Yeah.
And James, you play really well for a first timer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Taking lessons?
I started about 3 years ago. Yeah.
Good.
You should keep going, man. You should keep going.
Thanks, man. We'll do.
Yeah, like
you guys are the best.
You play pretty good. You don't suck. So we're actually going to the song that was the bear to arrange for you. The hardest to arrange, as you said.
But why it was a labor of love, it's because I think James agrees with this, that this is, I think, the most perfect love song ever written. It's so simple and heartbreaking.
So let's go into How Deep is the Ocean? Maybe It's Because I Love You Too Much.
Irving Berlin.
Yeah.
How can I tell you what is in my heart? How can I measure each and every part? How can I tell you how much I love you? How can I measure just how much I do? How much do I love you? I'll tell you no lie. How deep is the ocean? How high is the sky? How many times a day do I think of you? How many roses are sprinkled with dew? How far would I travel to be where you are? How far is the journey from here to a star? And if I ever lost you, how much would I cry? How deep is the ocean? How high is the sky? Maybe it's because I love you too much. Maybe that is why you love me so little. Maybe when I answered yes, maybe I became a boy. Maybe if I loved you less, maybe you would love me more. Maybe it's because I've kissed you too much. Maybe that is why my kiss means so little. Maybe with a love so great and a love so small, maybe I'll be left with no love at all. Maybe it's because I kissed you too much. Maybe that is why my kiss means so little. Maybe with a love so great and a love so small, maybe I'll be left with no love. How deep is the ocean? How high is the sky?
You guys, that's spectacular.
Thank you so much,
Jeez.
Robbie.
My mom says it's truly beautiful. So,
thanks, Mom.
Is that your mom?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
That's sweet.
You know, and she comes from a musical family because I am in it.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
Thanks.
Now, the next song is actually a song I didn't know before this album. Talk to me about I'm All Over It.
Jamie Cullum is just one of my favorite contemporary jazz artists. He also does, in a lot of his albums, he does fantastic covers of musical theater standards. There's a great interpretation he does of Not While I'm Around from Sweeney Todd, of Singing in the Rain, this very edgy version of it. And but this song that I've grown up loving, especially in college, just seemed right in the narrative story we were telling, that if how deep is the ocean is the purest way of professing your love and realizing it's not going to be reciprocated, the levels of denial you'll go to reinterpret the relationship in your own head, of going, oh yeah, but I left her and it's totally fine. I'm fine. Please, I'm over it. Move on to the next. And clearly you're not. It's a young person just not being honest with himself at all. And the way James, you want to talk about how we layered voices, James?
Yeah, so the idea is that the verses of the song are this kind of like throwing away, you know, kind of deflecting things. And so I felt like when you put it in a smoky jazz club, that's one thing, but it's the intensity and the insistence of telling yourself that I'm all over it now that propels the arrangement. Yeah, it propels the arrangement from jazz to rock and back. So it's one of the few arrangements that I've heard where you literally start in a jazz quartet and you kind of move into the world of the rock quartet with horns.
Let's give a listen to I'm All Over It.
Hello, innocent. Though it seems like we've been friends for years, I'm finishing. How I wish I had never begun, though it should be the last one. And it's dragging me down to my knees, where I'm begging you, please let me go. Don't you know I'm all over it now, and I can't say how glad I am about that. I'm all over it now, 'cause I worked and I cursed and I cried, and I said I could change, but I lied. When there's something still moves me inside. She's a melody that I've tried to forget, but I can't. It still follows me when I wake in the dead of the night, and I know that I can't find that song going round in my head, like the last thing she said. Please don't go. You think I know I'm all over it now, and I can't say how glad I am about it. I'm all over it now, 'cause I worked and I cursed and I cried, and I said I could change, but I lied. When there's something still moves me inside. No, I won't come back. She left without a warning and took the red eye back to NYC. I'm all over it now. I'm all over it now. still hold me inside.
Yeah. Come on.
Come on. Somebody said that note is unheard of. They're not wrong. It's so good that I got my step goal sitting. Something like that. So it's really good. And we got a great question. How has living in New York City shaped your taste experience with music and rhythms?
James?
Well, I grew up here my whole life, so I was very influenced by the culture of New York from the word go. Everything from classical music to Latin music to African-American music to rock to pop to jazz, just everything that the city had to offer. I grew up in the late 70s and the early 80s. That's when I was a real kid and understood what was going on here. And having all that music plus Broadway at your disposal as a kid, it just shapes everything that you are. So it's everything, music and rhythm.
And James, your initial dream as a kid was to be a percussionist. So it
was one of the dreams, a timpanist for the Metropolitan Orchestra. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Correct.
That's insane.
That's why all our arrangements kick, if nothing else.
I mean, James has arranged for so many really, really wonderful people. And, you know, if you saw Honeymoon in Vegas on Broadway, you saw him play the ukulele on stage at one point.
That's true.
Are there instruments that you don't play that you plan to take up during quarantine?
Yes. I'm thinking about trying to pick up guitar for real during quarantine. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Great.
I've never learned to play it, and I have keyboard hands, and I want to have guitar hands too. So hopefully that happens.
Keyboard hands and guitar hands are different.
Very different. Very different.
There's just like there's the claw, and that's how she defines different chords.
Yeah.
Right.
Great. It's like claw.
Flashback to the late 90s.
Right.
Fantastic.
Right.
You said that you grew up in the 70s, and one of the songs that we're going to is actually a song famous by the Beatles, which was like late 60s into the 70s. Yeah. But this is a little bit of Here, There, and Everywhere.
To lead a better life, I need my love to be here, making each day of the year, changing my life with a wave of her hand. Nobody can deny that there's something there. Running my hands through her hair, both of us thinking how good it can be. Someone is speaking, but she doesn't know he's there. I want her everywhere, and if she's beside me, I know I need never care. But to love her is to need her everywhere, knowing that love is to share. Each one believing that love never dies, watching their eyes and hoping I'm always there. I want her everywhere, and if she's beside me, I know I need never care. But to love her is to need her everywhere, knowing that love is to share. Each one believing that love never dies, watching their eyes and hoping I'm always there. I will be there and everywhere. here, there, and
Yeah.
Let's talk about that guitarist, because the guitar is giving Natalie chills.
Yeah, that's Dylan Condor, one of the best in the game. He is so inventive and has a bucket full of ideas for every single song. And that's what I look for in my musicians that I work with. I want people that are bringing themselves and extra ideas that I hadn't thought of. And for this, I left Bobby and Dylan alone in the main room of the Bridge Studio in Brooklyn for about, like an hour, Bob? Maybe 45? And they came up with this, and then I went in the control room to kind of like supervise it and guide it along the way. So like the Blackbird quote at the end was my idea, but it was really a combination of the three of us coming up with that simple but yet haunting. And the way that Bobby sings it is it's so stunning and so beautiful. So it really, but Dylan is a powerhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for any fans, he was the guitarist that everybody answered for a long time. He just did The Wrong Man off Broadway. He's just a phenomenal guitarist and human being. And we know what we try to do with every song is to make them free songs, even though they can be pops and things that you can groove out to. You want to be at a different place at the end than you were at the beginning, even with a Beatles song. And I think this shows really how genius of a lyricist Paul McCartney is. It is a standard ad-lib verse. Granted, it's only one sentence of an ad-lib verse, and it continues on where you have these fantastic qualifying lyrics that are based in time and location that slowly change over and over.
Yeah.
And Tim and his arrangement allowed there to be musical trajectory to that lyrical trajectory.
It's stunning. Now, the next song, you transition from folk pop to musical theater, and my favorite musical of all time. Did you grow up a theater nerd listening to cast albums? What are your favorite cast albums?
I don't know if you can tell from me talking right now, but yes, I meant it.
What were your favorite cast albums?
Oh boy! I mean, I think the first one was Beauty and the Beast. That was the first show I ever saw. Terrence Mann was the voice I wanted to be when I was a kid, and I've gotten to meet him, and I actually sang "If I Can't Love Her" in front of him.
Oh,
wow!
That was a big moment.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I think Les Mis was a big one when I was growing up. Spring Awakening came out right when I was a teenager, and then funnily enough, Company was the first Sondheim show I had ever seen, and that was a big stepping stone to make me want to be an actor. And the fact that I'm in it now, even though hopefully we'll see when we'll be back, is a trip and a half. And
you're fantastic in it, because I saw one of the early previews, and you are sensational. Another 100 People was sensational. Look at that bun.
Yes, it's growing out, baby.
Whoa.
If you come see the show, you'll see it in all its glory.
All of its glory.
She Loves Me is the favorite musical of Brent Wagner, who was the head of the University of Michigan Musical Theater Department. He talked about it reverentially. And when you dive into it, how could you not fall in love with it? And it's one of the most perfect jukebox shows, and this is one of the most perfect songs about how the eccentricities of feeling in love literally manifest in your body. And the way James arranged that into this Michael Blanco upright bass beginning is unbelievable.
Well, this is She Loves Me.
Yes.
Well, will wonders never cease? I didn't like her. I couldn't stand her. I wouldn't have her. I never knew her. But now I do. And I could. And I would. And I know. She loves me. And to my amazement, I love it. Knowing that she loves me. She loves me, true, she doesn't show it. How could she, when she doesn't know it? Yesterday she loathed me, now today she likes me. And tomorrow, my teeth ache from the urge to touch her. I'm speechless, for I mustn't tell her. It's wrong now, but it won't be long now before my love discovers that she and I are lovers. Imagine how surprised she's bound to be. She loves me. She loves me. I love her. Isn't that a wonder? I wonder why I didn't want her. I want her. That's the thing that matters. Matters are improving daily. Yesterday I loved her. Now today I love her. And tomorrow. Big lady, such kingdom. I'm trembling. What the hell does that mean? I'm freezing. That's because it's cold out. And still I'm incandescent. I'd like some adolescent. I'd like to scrawl on every wall I see. She loves me.
Let's go right into Love to Me. But let me share it with the group. It'll be great. Love to Me.
The day we met, the way you lean against the wind, and do not know that you are beautiful, or that anyone is watching you. This is what I see. And I notice how you hunger for surprise, and do not think that you are tall enough, like you're standing on a mountainside alone. This is what I see. You're not alone. Now I see as I have never seen before. Since that moment in the square, when your eyes carry deeply, and just so you can chase it, just so I can be there. This is how I know. This is what I see. This is love to me.
The light in the piazza.
Yeah.
The light in the piazza.
That was a tricky one, y'all. That was one that was like, it's so beautiful in the show. And then you're just like, how can we make it out of the show when it's that beautiful? How do you take it out? And it took us, Bobby and I, a minute to kind of crack it. But once we cracked it and found that kind of more indie vibe, and then he had always had this idea to have Mary Dorman Faniff come in and play cello, who is one of our greatest.
One of the best cellists.
Yeah, like that.
There's an amazing video of her doing The Light in the Piazza, the title track, as a cellist. And I'd seen that and went to James and said, we need her. We need her.
Yeah.
So then I crafted it basically around knowing her, because she's a really good friend, and knowing her very well, and now knowing Bobby really well. I crafted this around the three of us, basically. And so the vibe of the rhythm section is so mellow and so pure and honest. And I felt that that was also Fabrizio's take in the moment, is this breath of honesty at the end of the show. And it was a joy to write. It really was, and a joy to record. It sounds unbelievable. So
well, and James' intelligence too. What is the time signature that it's in the show?
The original, yeah, in the show it's in 5/8 plus 4/8. It's a compound meter, 5/8 plus 4/8. So it's 9/8, but it's 5 plus 4.
It's this off-kilter feeling, which is gorgeous, but was a bear to figure out a way in if we were going to rearrange it. However, if you listen at the end, James puts it back in that original meter for the final write-out as an homage.
5'8" is also my age, so thank you so much.
Please.
Somebody asked, is Fabrizio a dream role of yours?
Yes, I played it when I was between my freshman and sophomore year of college at this place called Farmers Alley Theater in Kalamazoo, Michigan. But yes, I would definitely love to play it again before I get a little too old. It's one of the most perfect shows.
The next song is That's Life. Let's talk a little bit about That's Life.
Yes.
And how because that's sort of the thesis statement of the album, like the summation of it. So how did you hit that?
Yeah, I mean, this into Vienna, I think, has gotten into the real mindset of it. I'm my grandparents are 100% Napolitano and live on Manhasset, Long Island, and so naturally, the Rat Pack is going to be playing throughout the house growing up. And Sinatra is when you grow up, it's the most iconic voice. But then when you start studying music and theater for a living, you realize there's no one that phrases a lyric better than him. And so James was a fantastic voice of reason constantly to go, Bobby, you may be in awe of all of these people who originated these songs that you love, but now you need to find a way to reinterpret them as your own and to get them out of your head. And so we found a way in. James had this fantastic idea of it sort of being a gospel piece, like I'm preaching, even if it's to my own self. And we wanted to find a way to make that final lyric, I'm going to roll myself up at a big ball and die, a little more emotionally grounded. Because in the Frank Sinatra version, he sings it, he goes, and die, and then the doo-wop singers go, doo-dap, doo-dap, doo-dap. And it's just very irreverent and fun. And
That didn't work.
We wanted to find some emotional honesty. But to James's point, you can't listen to a 27-year-old say, oh, I'm going to kill myself if things aren't working out in July.
Sure.
So Vienna ends up being the fantastic answer of going, slow down, you crazy child. If you're so smart, why are you so afraid? Dream on. Don't imagine it'll all come true. It's all right. You can afford to lose a day or two in quarantine.
Yeah.
But also that July lyric, right? It's like that July lyric in That's Life all of a sudden has a whole new meaning in this world of the Rona. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter anymore how old you are listening to That's Life, because there are things that apply. And I think that that's one of the reasons why the coupling of the two songs together, which I hope we hear them in a row, so that you hear the progression of how Bobby interprets from one to the next and why it works as a pair.
Great. So let's listen to the best version of That's Life since Smash and go right into some Billy Joel. Right? Why not?
Why not?
Why not? So this is That's Life.
Oregon.
That's life. That's what people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that tune when I'm back on top in June. I said that's life, and funny as it may seem, some people get the kicks stomping on a dream. But I don't let it get me down. 'Cause this fine old world, it keeps spinning around. I've been a puppet, pauper, pirate, poet, a pawn and the king. I've been up, down, over and out. But I know one thing. Each time I find myself flat on my face, I pick myself up and get back in the race. That's life. I can't deny it. I thought of quitting, baby, but my heart just ain't gonna buy it. And if I didn't think it was worth one single try, I'd jump right on a big bird and then I fly. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. I've been up and down and over and out, but I know one thing. Each time I find myself laying flat on my face, I just pick myself up and get back in the race. And I can't deny it. Many times I thought of cutting out, but my poor heart just ain't gonna buy it. But if there's nothing shaking, I've got this here tonight. I'm gonna roll myself up in a big ball. I know. Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. But then if you're so smart, tell me, why are you still so afraid? Waste the fire, what's the hurry about? You better cool it off before you burn it out. You got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. But you know that when the truth is told, that you can get what you want or you can just get old. You're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. Ooh. When will you realize Vienna waits for you? Slow down, you're doing fine. You can't be everything you want to be before your time. Although it's so romantic on the borderline tonight. Too bad, but it's the life you lead. You're so ahead of yourself that you forgot what you need. Though you can see when you're wrong, you know you can't always see when you're right. You're right. You got your passion, you got your pride. But don't you know that only fools are satisfied? Dream on, but don't imagine they'll all come true. Ooh. When will you realize Vienna waits for you. Slow down, you crazy child. Take the phone off the hook and disappear for a while. It's alright, you can't afford to lose a day or two. Ooh, when will you realize Vienna waits for you? And you know that when the truth is told, that you get what you want, or you can just get on. You gotta kick out before you even get halfway through. Why don't you realize Vienna waits for you? When will you realize Vienna waits for you?
Yeah.
Oh, James.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob.
Come on. Hector says the transition from That's Life to Vienna is the best. How did you guys come up with it?
Ooh, Mr. Cotter. That's a great question, because at first there were about 6 versions of how we were going to do it, and I hated every single one of what I came up with. And then finally I came up with the idea of just literally nothing. Because I was trying to figure out a chord, and then the chord wasn't really working and whatever, and I was like, if we just let Bobby put the word "and die" out in the clear and then just transition it, it's going to be a lot more effective than trying to figure out something cool and fun and whatever out of That's Life, because emotionally, we're taking it to a different place than Sinatra did. So ultimately, our choice was to just let it hang. And we had another version where he sang the low "and die," but ultimately it felt a little bit more, not just earnest, but it felt more like the story was continuing if he pressed a higher octave of that note rather than go to the low octave of that note. Because it felt too resigned when he went "and die," whereas I felt "and I" felt like it was like there's more to the story.
And it's terrifying. It's saying, oh, if I'm going to really do this, that's going to catch a lump in your throat. That's not going to be a gravitas moment. That's going to be a childish, terrified moment. And then you can have the older version of yourself put your hand on your shoulder and say, slow down.
Slow down.
Calm down.
That's me. I'm the old guy in the story.
Just because you have that beard, baby.
Yeah,
I'm trying to help you.
You're so young.
God bless you.
Like a fresh daisy.
Yes.
You hydrate, so you're fine.
Yes. I'm hydrating with the bourbon currently.
I'm proud of you, honestly.
Happy hour.
That's actually the end of the album proper. We're going to play the bonus track. Don't worry, guys. But Jessica on YouTube asks, would you ever perform your cabaret, this album, live again, or are you going to focus on a new chapter of your life for live shows?
No, we had planned to do it at Subculture in late April. We had a date all set, and then the world came to a halting stop. So yes, we absolutely will do this live when we all can congregate in a creative space together again. So no worries there. But I think I speak for James and myself that we hope this is the first of many a collaboration, and we want to have this story told because we have these phenomenal charts and arrangements that we want to make good use of. Mm-hmm. But we want to absolutely start telling the next parts of the story and see where we both are, and especially probably in the next decade or so, seeing what songs speak to us and where we are in our lives.
Yeah,
it's sort of. I was talking to my family about this. It's like an amazing way to have a journal or a diary about your life, just in terms of musicality. Mm-hmm. Where were you here in your mid-20s? Where are you in your 30s? That's also a luxury in our part that we have people like Raleigh Records that will give us the opportunity to give that a platform and showcase it so that it can be heard for the world and not just sit in our computers all day long.
Yeah, so the album is everywhere right now. on Broadway Records. It's on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play. Like truly, it's everywhere. Guys, go get it. Hop into iTunes and give it a 5-star review. Why not? Help other people find it. It's so good. That's what I'm saying. Now listen, we're going to talk about the bonus track because Unwashed Grapes at YouTube says, how'd you find the song Alice and get permission to perform it since it's from an unfinished Mencken project?
I was very lucky to work with Alan for my first Broadway show, Bronx Tale. And, whenever I'm in between jobs, just to stay creatively fruitful and also, pay the bills and make money, I tour this show. And I had written Alan saying, after Bronx Tale, saying I wanted to do a Mencken medley, again, because Beauty and the Beast was the first show I ever saw. I wanted to pair Belle from Beauty and the Beast and play all the parts. And then
do it.
Bronx Tale, and James is mortified.
That's a quarantine project. Do all of that.
Arrangement of
Technically avail.
I found this great interview he does with Kristen Anderson Lopez in his home, where he sings a song called 13th Street that he wrote way back in the day, essentially for his wife. And I said, hey, I can't find the sheet music where if it's okay, I would love to sing it or some version of a song that's sort of not out in the world. And he wrote me back within the hour saying, on it, and then later sent me an email that I hold on to this day of a list of trunk songs that are not published out in the world saying, what do you think of these? And I won't give away what some of them are because I'm sure he's trying to maybe find a way to produce some of them. But the one that really stuck out was Alice, because he was trying to adapt The Honeymooners into a musical in the 70s. He was writing music and lyrics for it. And when you think of this coming out of the mouth of someone like Ralph Cramden, it seems a little odd because it's so romantic and sweeping. You hear all these rising triplets that showcase really what Alan Menken is, but you hear all the kernels of what become absolute perfection later on in his life. And the fact that he bestowed that onto me and allowed me to debut it and put it out in the world, I'm forever indebted to him. And he's a mensch and an incredible artist and an amazing storyteller. Listen to these lyrics is spectacular.
Yeah.
And so we did. James and I made a single of this in the summer of last year. And when we knew we were going to be able to get picked up to have this whole album out, we thought we'd put it on the end as just sort of a bonus track. It's sort of what a dream relationship to envision and fight for. Something that there's still a crush, there's still a blush on Alice 30 plus years later about enduring love. And that's what I think we love about it. Yeah. And James's piano is unparalleled.
Thanks, pal.
You're not wrong. Let's listen to Alice.
Alice goes to church on Sunday, and she washes all her clothes for Monday. Alice's life is neatly planned, each hour and each minute. How can a guy like me fit in it? But Saturday night we danced, and I looked into her eyes, and what I saw there took my heart completely by surprise. The music swelled the first time I held Alice. The lights went dim, and all I saw was her. They played a song, I sang along to Alice, and all around me, things became a blur. People stopped and stared as I held Alice, and after all the music was long gone, I heard a hush, I saw a blush on Alice. Time stood still, and we went dancing on. There we were, the two of us, waiting for the crosstown bus. Had a whole lot to discuss with Alice. I was nervous, she never guessed. I talked too much, she seemed impressed. I go east, but I went west for Alice. Alice. Suddenly we looked up and saw the moon. I made a wish not to let tonight end soon. But Alice still obeys her mother, who doesn't like us seeing each other. Alice's mother doesn't know the kind of stuff I'm made of. I don't know what she's afraid of. all we did was dance. Really, that was all. And all it took was just one look, and I began to fall. I was found the first time I held Alice. The lights went dim, and all I saw was her. They played a song, I sang along to Alice. And now, things are simply not the way they were. On the streets, heads turned as I held Alice. We walked along like school kids at a prom. I didn't care, cause I was there with Alice. Time stood still, and we went dancing on. Stars came out and filled the sky, and I knew no matter how I tried, I could never say goodbye to Alice. The skyline seemed to shine so bright, every moment felt so right. Then a voice said, "Say goodnight, Alice, Alice." Even your mother's voice is sweet to me. From now on, that's the way it's gonna be. The moment's gold each time I hold Alice. The light goes dim and all I see is her. I hear a song, I sing along to Alice, and all those wonderful feelings still occur. I feel gold each time I hold Alice. We dance until the music is all gone. There's still a crush, there's still a blush on us. Time stands still, and we'll go dancing on. Time stands still, and we'll go dancing on.
Yes.
That was heaven.
Thanks, Bobby.
That was the whole album is heaven.
Thanks, Bobby.
We're so thrilled to have released it here at Broadway Records. As I was saying, get the album, give it a 5-star. James needs things, so
I do.
Yeah.
Look, I still have CDs.
Bless you, because I like to work.
Have them.
Bobby, everybody can follow you at Bobby_Conte on all the socials. James is private, but he's wonderful. Find him. His work on Pose was fantastic.
Oh, new season comes out June 11th on Netflix, season 2.
Oh, fantastic! So you can see him.
See my episode.
That's correct.
Netflix.
Yeah, baby.
What you play a very iconic song in that episode.
I do. I don't want to remind people. I want them to experience it. It's so good.
It's really good, guys. But this album is spectacular. Thank you for joining us, all of you. Thanks for your great questions and comments. We loved reading everything and just celebrating this album together. And thanks for sticking with us through the couple of hiccups that we had, because this is our very first one. And I think a better way to start than this album. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
and
Robbie.
We'll see you soon.
Love you, James.
Everyone.